Good afternoon and Good afternoon, welcome to Argyle TV. We are at Home Park where Plymouth Argyle are putting their 7-match unbeaten run in Sky Bet League One on the line.
Onto his right foot, Ryan Hardie, he finishes!
After 2 games away from home where the Pilgrims picked up 4 points, they are back in action today here at Home Park, and I'm sure the fans in the stadium are looking forward to another positive display. I am Erin Black and you're watching Argyle TV. We've got lots coming up this afternoon, starting with Ryan Lowe on his side's brilliant start to the League One season. We're also going to be hearing from Ryan Hardie on his relationship on and off with their striking partner Luke Jeffcott. We are also going to be joined by former goalkeeper Romain Larrieu, and of course building up to all the action at 3 p.m. for the kickoff against Doncaster Rovers. All of that to come, but first of all let me introduce you to our first guest this afternoon. It is former Argyle striker Ian Stonebridge. Ian, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Yeah, it's great to be back here and hopefully looking forward to a nice bumper crowd today.
Yeah.
For Argyle to continue their run.
Yeah, and I see you got the memo wearing green.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know if it's a formal superstition yet, but hopefully it can become one if we get the right result today.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. So what have you made of the Argyle team so far this season?
Yeah, obviously they had some significant changes in personnel over the summer, and it's been great to see how those players have bedded in, and we're really starting to see the fruits of that, particularly in terms of some of that good work at the back in the defensive record.
Yeah.
And that's obviously coupled with some on-form strikers at this point in time.
Yeah, and we're going to be touching on some of the strikers later, talking about Ryan Hardie and his goals a little later on. As a former striker yourself, you must be encouraged by what you're seeing on the pitch this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the confidence that Ryan Hardie and Luke have got at the moment is really plain to see. Hardie especially, the way the composure he's showing as he goes through on goal is obviously obvious at the moment, and it gives that confidence to the rest of the team as well, where you get that belief that if they create chances, they're going to end up in the net, and obviously Argyle's results are kind of reflecting that at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ian, we're going to be asking you a few more questions in just a moment. For now, though, we'll bring you some team news in a moment, but let's hear from Ryan Lowe first on what he makes of his team season so far.
The lads have obviously done some bits today in terms of recovery as well, and put a bit of classroom stuff into them, and we'll start it today, Doncaster, but also tomorrow, important. And yeah, we just obviously got to get the recovery into them, because as you've seen, they've been covering the distance, they've been covering of late, has been phenomenal. So no, they're in good spirits, in good shape, and yeah, ready for the next one. We know Richie quite well. Every time we played up against his team, so we've been competitive. They play the right way, do the right things. Yeah, they'll be disappointed that they haven't got many more points on the board, but they're in good form at the moment. They've won the last two, even though one of them was a Papa John's. It's still good form. I know Richie will want to come here and put a show on for his club and his players and his fans and whatnot. So we can't take them, lightly. No chance. We'll treat them like we treated the Portsmouth game and Sheffield Wednesday game and the Wimbledon game. Certainly. So yeah, we know it's going to be a tough ask. Just because they're where they are in the league, it doesn't mean nothing. Anyone can beat anyone in the league. What we've got to do is make sure we go about our business the right way. If we continue our form and the way we've been playing and the things we've been doing, then yeah, we've got a chance of winning. But ultimately, so have they, because it's two teams trying to get points, and all we can do is worry about ourselves. But we certainly won't be taking Doncaster lightly. Everywhere you go now in the city, they're all saying you're doing a great job, and but we've got to continue that. I said all along, we've got people to make happy in this city, in this football club, and they know, and we'd like to see more of you here, because I think, to the Portsmouth game the other night, fair play to their fans, they got behind it, was a ruck, it was loud, and that's certainly what our fans have been doing for us. But if there was an extra, 1,000 or two, it'd be even louder. So yeah, listen, we want you to come down, we want you to come and support. I know a lot of people have seen how we do things, but I'm sure they'll be back in the numbers very soon, and hopefully it's Saturday.
Ryan Lowe there, and now we have received the team news for today. So Argyle's starting 11 is as follows. In goal, number 1, we have Michael Cooper, Jordan Houghton, number 4, James Wilson, number 5, Dan Scarr, number 6, Ryan Broom, number 7, Captain Joe Edwards at number 8, Ryan Hardie, number 9, Connor Grant, number 15, Brendan Galloway, 22, Panucci Kamara, 28, and Luke Jeffcott at 31. Ian, what do you make of the team that we've got for today?
Yeah, obviously it's kind of an unchanged 11 from what we've seen in recent games. You can completely understand that with the way that the team's performing at the moment, and I think the benefit of that is obviously the relationships that the players are able to kind of continue developing. As we mentioned, changes of personnel over the summer, but that back three, which has been settled in the last few games again, able to get to know each other even better. They understand each other's strengths and where they need help, and that communication, which is so crucial to defending, can develop even further. And obviously further up the pitch, you get that base from Jordan Houghton in midfield that allows some of our other players to be slightly more attacking and hopefully create those chances for the strikers.
Yeah. Not changing the squad at all or too much from game to game. What's that like as a player? I mean, it must be great if you're in the starting 11, but how does it work as the dynamic for the whole team, do you think, having been there yourself?
Absolutely, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I think if you're on the bench at the moment, I think you can actually understand that there's no justification really for the managers to change the team. So if the team weren't doing so well and he keeps naming an unchanged side, clearly at that point some of the players that are on the fringes might start to get slightly unsettled or start to ask some questions. But with the way the team's performing, the confidence they've gained and some of those recent results, those players that are on the fringes of the team have just got to be ready when the chance does come. And clearly substitutes, in this day and age, play an even bigger part in games, and we've seen that in recent games where, for example, Ryan Lowe coming on against Sheffield Wednesday and getting his first goal for the club, which was great to see. So they have that chance when they get on the pitch, and they have to try and grab that. Yeah, and we have seen Ryan Lowe in previous games this season bringing in kind of some of the younger players as well as substitutes towards the end of the match. That must be absolutely fantastic opportunity for them. It's brilliant. I mean, it's a real feature of Argyle over Ryan Lowe's reign, in that he's been willing to blood those youngsters, and the fruits of that academy and all of the work that goes in at that level is now coming to come to fruition really, and we're starting to see it out on the first team pitch, which is fantastic. It gives that confidence. Those players know that if they're good enough, they're going to get a chance. And you know, for example, Jordan Houghton and Adam Randall at the start of the season, I think it was, you know, almost a coin toss as to who was going to start that first game. Jordan's obviously come in and done really well, but I know that Adam will be chomping at the bit to try and get his opportunity, and he's ready for that. You know?
For you as a ex-striker, are there any players that you see playing that kind of really stand out to you?
In the Argyle squad, I mean, I worked as an Argyle coach in the academy for a number of years. I worked with Adam Randall, worked with Mike Cooper and Luke Jeffcott to a lesser degree. But I remember seeing Luke, for example, as a under-15 player and just being struck by how well and how cleanly he strikes the ball. And I think that comes through in his finishing, where in and around the box, if there's a chance to be had, he takes it. And obviously Ryan Hardie at the moment, he's, as a striker, I admire his composure. You know, the confidence he's got at the moment. You know, we feel that if he's going through on goal and he's got that chance, there's no doubt in his mind.
Yeah.
And the run of goals gives him that chance to think, well, if he does miss a chance, there's another one coming, and he doesn't need to kind of get hung up on that. So it's great to see.
And Cooper as well in goals, kind of one of the standout players that we have to talk about. He's had a great season so far, and there's talk of his career kind of just blossoming as he gets older. Would you fancy your chances up against him, playing as a striker against him in goal? Probably
not. No, I mean, and having known Mike since he was kind of 10 or 11 years old, it doesn't surprise me. And I appreciate that's easy to say with hindsight, but his work ethic and his attitude and some of the coaching that he got on his time through the academy, not from me, I should add. He's doing really well, and it's again fantastic to see that demonstration through the season.
Yeah, and here comes Pilgrim Pete, a staple in Argyle TV of late. You always know just when to arrive, don't you, Pete? And he's gone, and just like that, he's gone. Thank you, Ian. We're going to come back to you in a moment. Let's just have a little look at what's been going on recently in Argyle. So busy week for the Pilgrims, as I said, with 2 away games. Here is the first of them. It is last weekend's 1-0 win in the capital. We'll have a look at the Portsmouth highlights as well in just a moment. But Ian, that win against AFC Wimbledon, what did you make of it? Yeah,
it's great to see the clean sheet, and I think against a team that, as we know, Wimbledon are one of the top scorers in the division so far this season. And we talked about the turnover of defenders and perhaps the new lineup that Argyle have got back there this season. Although Wimbledon perhaps had chances in the game, they're showing that Argyle at the moment Cooper, along with those three at the back, are willing to put their bodies on the line. They're making the saves and the last-ditch blocks that they've kept the clean sheet on that occasion. So yeah, it's a fantastic result, and to restrict them to a clean sheet is really good.
Yeah, like you said, I saw it was Argyle, I think only the second team to stop AFC Wimbledon scoring so far this season. That's got to be a pretty good accolade to have tucked in the back pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a striker, obviously it's scoring goals that's important, but for defenders, going home at the end of the day with a clean sheet, particularly for Mike Cooper, the confidence that gives him, and they again continue to build that bond and that relationship as a defensive group that can only do good for Argyle as the season goes on.
Yeah, and there's often talk about away games, being more difficult than home games, for example. What kind of elements make that difference between home and away? I
think at Argyle in particular, it's the travelling that can be the big thing. I remember there was one season where Cardiff was our local derby, and wow. That's obviously hours away on the coast. So the travelling is a tricky thing to get used to, and I think players that come down here, that's something that they have to kind of develop the resilience to be able to do that week in, week out.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's that going away, being against the fans that are in the stadium. But Argyle's away following, is fantastic.
Yeah.
We heard that in the game at Portsmouth in the week. It's astounding the volume that they get, and the players knowing that they can rely on that, regardless really of how far they travel. The following that Argyle get all over the country is second to none, and they can benefit from that in those away games.
Yeah, and it must bring such a huge boost to the squad having such a vocal travelling away side, and also being able to bring those wins back home from other places, and like in the case of AFC Wimbledon, a team that's already kind of showing that they're achieving as well.
Yeah, we heard Ryan Lowe talk about it in terms of the points that they've got on the road already this season, and in terms of those two games, Wimbledon and Portsmouth, 4 points from that is really satisfactory. Perhaps the fact that Portsmouth scored a late goal is disappointing, but hopefully it's only disappointing for a short period, and you look at that in the broader picture and think, okay, actually a 2-2 draw away is a point well won.
Yeah, and we'll be having a look at that in a moment as well. But 2 away wins, in the past set of games, that's a fantastic return, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, we know that, home park is going to need to be a fortress this season. If Argyle want to progress from this league, they're going to need to make sure they're really consistent in terms of the goals and the points they're getting here. But if you can back that up, it's vital to get those points away from home, because it does take that pressure off a little bit in terms of the results at home.
Yeah, and we've just had the Argyle squad running out onto the pitch now. They're met with applause from fans. Of course, home park not completely full yet, due to be plenty more fans arriving into the stadium over the next 40 minutes or so. Kick-off at 3 p.m. here against Doncaster Rovers. But I mean, reception like that when you come out just to warm up, that must be brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. And when the team's doing well and everyone's happy, that can just be a snowball effect, and it makes everyone feel better. It keeps the players' confidence levels up, and it's a fantastic place to be when we're in that situation. Yeah.
Do you think having a series of unbeaten runs behind you adds to the pressure, or do you think it kind of boosts morale? I suppose it's quite a fine line, isn't it?
I think it probably does both in a perverse way. I think Ryan Lowe talks about not wanting to go top just yet. I mean, I'm sure that if you'd have said to him you can have 3 points rather than 1 point from the Portsmouth game, he would have taken it. But there is that added pressure of being further up the league, and particularly if you are top, everyone wants to come and shoot you down. So, but having that run behind you, again, teams coming here, there's less pressure on Doncaster today than there is on Plymouth. But having said that, Argyle will want to keep that run going, and that's the kind of thing they're up against.
Yeah.
Doncaster bottom of the league, obviously, and that's a different kind of pressure.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Well, speaking of goals and members of the team that make that happen, of course, Ryan Hardie, striker in Plymouth Argyle, and he was the one that scored that 1-0 victory against AFC Wimbledon. He's already gone past his tallies of goals of last season, but what's been the secret to his goal-scoring form? He spoke to Charlie Price on Argyle TV.
I've noticed something in the last couple of, definitely the last couple of games, is the chop before the finish. Is that something you have been working on?
It's as I said to I've spoken to my dad on that a few times over the last few weeks. I feel like that's my old self, like where I was playing my best footballs when I was confident in front of goal, and I was able to do that and make the chances easier for myself. Last season it wasn't quite there for some reason, maybe confidence. But this season it's back, so hopefully it can keep going.
You mentioned the kind of change from last year to this year, and it could be a variety of things. Fans being back in, confidence. Is it easy to kind of pinpoint exactly what it is, or is it just is a new season, new start?
Well, it's not easy at all. As you say, the fans are a massive thing. Last season you'd score and it wasn't very the same celebrating. You'd run back and high five your mates, whereas like in the last few games, you score and you can run it in the fans. It's such a better feeling, and it makes the goals feel a lot more worthwhile, a lot more special. So I'm not saying that I never scored last year because I didn't want to. There was no fans there, but this year it certainly does help, and it's such a better feeling when you're scoring in front of all the fans.
You've got 8 and 10. Jeps has 4, I think, or maybe 5. So there's a lot of goals between the two of you there, and I know you get on well off the pitch. But what's it like playing with Luke?
Yeah, this season especially, we've had more of a bit more freedom where Luke can come into feet and receive the ball a bit easier, and then that leaves more room. If one of the defenders follows him out, I'll always go in the space behind him, and I think that's what the gaffers gave us more this year. He gave us a bit more freedom for him to do that, and then for me to stretch it more. Where I can come into feet, sometimes Jeps is claiming that he's a bit faster this year, so I don't know if you are noticing it, but he's certainly claiming to be a bit faster, so we can mix up the shifts, but I'm more running in behind.
Do you think he's faster?
Absolutely not. he's only saying that because his FIFA card's a bit faster. But he is. He's looking a lot sharper, don't get me wrong, he is. He's started the season really well, and long may it continue.
Does it help that you do have such a good relationship off the pitch as well?
Yeah, I think it's massively important because we know each other's inside out, we know each other's personalities, we know each other's strengths and weaknesses in the game, on and off the park, I suppose. It does massively help. We've good mates off the pitch, as you say. We do a few activities outside football together, and on the pitch we're always laughing and joking with each other. It's important to have a relationship because whereas when I've slipped them in for the one against Sheffield Wednesday, I should have slipped them in after I've took it around the keeper, but whereas that could have caused a bit of friction between a few people, but he can't really get angry at me. He started laughing after a few times that he'd been getting at me. So it's important that we always do want the best for each other. We'll get angry with each other, but after that you forget about it and you move on.
If you score again on the weekend and then bag a couple more, is the headband going to stay, do you think?
So, you never know. I am quite a superstitious person, so the boots I've had on's got the toe missing at them. I've got to have to start gluing them together because I keep scoring. I'm going to have to keep wearing them. So you could say if I wear it on Saturday, if I need to wear it on Saturday and I score, well, it will be staying on.
I was going to say, I wonder whether he's wearing the green headband again today, but I think from seeing him run out behind us onto the pitch, he's gone for a more regular bandage after injuring his ear in a previous game. Ian, 8 goals from 10 games. That must be, pretty good to have under your belt. Yeah,
it's fantastic as a striker. I think we often mention that strikers breed on confidence, and having that run of goals from the start of the season is obviously doing Ryan Hardie and the team the world of good at the moment.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, as well, we were hearing from Ryan there talking about Luke Jeffcott too. How important is it to have a striking partner that you get on with on and off the pitch?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I was trying to think back to the people I played with and how well we got on, and I think I never had any situations where I was in opposition or arguing with someone. But when you're on the pitch, I think it's important to have a relationship where you can be honest.
Yeah.
And I think there's often going to be situations where someone should have thought they should have passed the ball instead of shooting. Strikers tend to like to be selfish and they like shooting. So I think if Luke and Ryan have that relationship where they can deal with that, put it to bed and get on to the next thing, which they seem to be doing at the moment, I think that can only be a good thing. Yeah.
Are you a fan of having 2 strikers on the pitch then?
It increased my chances of playing, so probably when I was in the squad I was, but I think the important bit is that you don't have 2 strikers that are very, very similar in their attributes, and I think in Luke and Ryan you've got Ryan's pace, and he's been showing that with the type of goals he's scored in recent games. Luke's hold-up play has really been developing, and it's something that I think he's getting better and better at, and his danger is when he's in and around the box with those finishes. So they're a nice pairing, and I think it does mean that when Argyle play the type of football that they want to in terms of passing out from the back, they've got options in forward areas, and you're not just relying on a lone striker to kind of run a lone furrow for you.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Ian. Hardie was on the score sheet again for the Portsmouth game too in the midweek draw. Here is the best of the action from Fratton Park. So Portsmouth there, so close to getting a win over at Fratton Park. What did you make of it?
Yeah, we've played Portsmouth a lot in recent seasons, and those games have become real kind of highlights for both clubs, I think. And yeah, you can see how evenly matched we were. And I think that, Ryan Lowe's spoken about not wanting to go top just now. It's a disappointing thing to concede a goal late like that, but the positives from that is we've gone to Portsmouth. Great atmosphere up there. Green Army were in full voice, and 2 goals for Ryan Hardie that allowed them to come back really with confidence to this game today.
Yeah, so let's talk about the dynamic then of potentially going top and not. What do you think the implications are on that kind of result?
Yeah, I think that, as a manager, you would never turn down points. So as much as Ryan Lowe's kind of playing it down a little bit, clearly he'd be just as happy, if not happier, if Argyle was sitting top with more points. However, it does then start to create more of a pressure, particularly when you come back here. Every club in the league then is trying to knock you off your perch, and it just maybe heightens each game and just adds a little bit more to it. Whereas, still being within touching distance of the top of the league, but perhaps not there yet, just allows perhaps Argyle to fly under the radar a touch more, and they can benefit from the kind of reduced pressure that might bring.
Yeah, and of course plenty more games left in the season, so it's not like there's not very long to pull it out of the bag, as it were.
No, of course it takes a lot of stamina to go top of the league at this stage in the season and stay there. So I think as long as Argyle stay in touch with the promotion places, they'll be happy.
And I suppose it's testament to the team as well to come from behind, then get the result that we have, and then unfortunately kind of just lose it towards the end there. But, again, away at Portsmouth and to come from where we were, that's pretty, good
Definitely.
going.
Yeah, there aren't many tougher places in the league to go than Portsmouth away. Tuesday night, big crowd there from a Portsmouth point of view as well. And yeah, creating those 2 chances, I think, they were very similar goals, in fact, and Ryan Hardie really showing composure, and the 2 assists from Panucci Camara, which were fantastic.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can see some more of that today.
Yeah, fantastic player and a real asset to the team as well. Ian, you're going to be back joining us again in a minute. For those of you that are watching online, you are of course watching Argyle TV, and don't forget you can get in touch with us on social media. We are on Twitter @only1argyle. Send us a tweet, let us know where you're watching from. I know we have viewers from all around the world, so it'd be lovely to hear from you. We can read them out at half-time, because at the moment we're about half an hour away from kick-off, and we have another guest joining us very soon. That is Argyle goalkeeper Romain Larrieu in just a few moments. But before we get to that, let's have a little look. God, sorry, I think I just swallowed a fly there for a moment. Wow. Nice little bit of nutrition before we carry on with the pre-show. As I was saying before, Argyle Academy, that's what we're going to be looking at next. So they got their second win of the EFL Youth Alliance League season last weekend with an impressive 2-1 win against Bournemouth. Let's have a look. And Darren Way's under-18s have actually just finished their game against Exeter City, and I can tell you that they drew 2-2. Unfortunately, it then went to penalties, which they lost 9-8 and had a player sent off in the last 20 minutes. You're watching Argyle TV. You are watching Argyle TV with me, Erin Black. We are building up to 3 p.m. kickoff against Doncaster Rovers this afternoon. We're going to have a little look at the Doncaster team now before we are joined by ex-Argyle goalkeeper Romain Larrieu. Ian, what do you make of the Doncaster squad, having a little look at it today?
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see the approach they adopt today, because I know that Richie Wellens has spoken in the media around their approach, and I think his preferred style is to kind of be quite open and attacking with a high press and try and take the game to the opposition. But I know that when they played Wigan fairly recently, you know, they tried to be more defensive. They adopted more of a low block type formation. So coming to Argyle, who are obviously going well in the league, and Doncaster struggling at the other end, it will be interesting to see which of maybe those two extremes he maybe adopts today, or is he going to try and kind of balance the team somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, and does playing a team, like you said, towards the bottom of the table, make you rest on your laurels slightly, or do you still have to, attack it with full force?
It certainly shouldn't. Obviously, all of these players are professionals, and the management team and the coaches in particular this week will have been at pains to kind of make sure that they don't take anything for granted here. I think, if anything, it creates that expectation amongst the crowd and amongst everyone here at Home Park today that, Argyle should be winning this game, and so the pressure is there. It's not a time to relax, it's a time to take the game to Doncaster and try and make sure that we can get some early goals and have a positive afternoon.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much, Ian. We're going to be back with you in a moment. As I said, Romain Larrieu coming up with us here on Argyle TV in a minute. As we were talking about the Argyle team and everything like that, let's have a little look at what Dan Scarr has been saying about the league so far. Hello, welcome back to Argyle TV. I have now swapped Ian for the lovely Romain Larrieu. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
You?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And dressed very smartly for your Argyle TV appearance today. Thank you for joining us. So, great to see you. How are you making, the Argyle TV, not the Argyle TV team, but the Argyle team so far? What are you making of this season?
I think they've had a really, really good start. I mean, Portsmouth on Tuesday would have hurt them, I think. But it's only just a bump in the journey. I think they've got a very good team from any position. They look strong, but it's very early days in the season. So they've got to just bring it on today, when I think a lot of fans will expect them to beat Doncaster, because Doncaster's bottom of the league.
Yeah.
But football's not like that. You've got to still do it.
Yeah.
So I just hope that they're given time by the fans to get it done. Thank you.
And so what are you up to at the moment then? What's new for you?
I've got a little baby.
Oh, yes, congratulations.
Yes. So we've got a little daughter. We will be one next month. So that's what's been really in the forehead of my mind.
All hands on deck with that.
I know. We've had two before, but that's just a whole new world.
Well, we cast your mind away from babies and on to Argyle then, Romain. Does this bring back memories for you? Argyle doing well this season, similar to you when you were back playing. It must bring back a lot of memories.
Of course, it's nice to see, like on Tuesday, the away support, the number that we've been doing at Home Park this season, all due obviously from the fact that fans are finally allowed back. But it's great. I mean, no one needs to tell me how big a club this is. It's a fantastic club and fantastic fans. And I just hope that this start of the season can carry on for the whole of it, because there's quite a bit to do with this club still. Yeah.
Are there any memories that particularly stand out to you from your time as a player? Any highlights that you look back on and really cherish?
I mean, would I sound greedy to say the whole journey was a highlight? Obviously, the championship season were great, but when we were in administration, the bond that I've created with some of the fans, the one in the tavernas, because of the dramatic situation we were in. So it was not all rosy, but it was all a good memory in the end, I think.
Yeah, and of course we've had Ian as well joining us on Argyle TV just before you. Do you still keep in touch with other ex-players from the Ian Sturrock era?
Oh yes, of course, yeah. We are. Stoney rang me about 2 weeks ago about his birthday, which I couldn't go to. And we are in touch. It's nothing like, we don't talk to each other every week. But yeah, we know what each other's doing, and try to catch up when we can. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. And as one of the most iconic Argyle goalkeepers yourself, because I remember you from when I first started following Argyle, what do you make of Michael Cooper?
What I make of him now is what I've read and learned and heard, and I've seen a couple of games of him, but I know how well he's been doing because I've read it, and I'm looking forward to watching him today.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a great position to be in as a football club, to have a young goalie from the youth ranks, it's a good position to be in, and I hope that this season in League One, which is a very good league, he carries on playing as good as he's been, because I know how well he's played.
Yeah.
And there's people around and I can help him very much. There's one not far from me there, which I know quite well, and I know that Luke can be there with him all the way.
Yeah, and of course, Cooper's just 21 years old, so is there a lot of pressure to be, you know, such a vital member of the team at that age and in goal as well?
There is probably, but I was a late developer, so it's hard for me to say.
Yeah.
I think that's where Luke would be more handy than I would have been, because he was virtually having the same sort of trajectory in his career. He played very early. I didn't. And I think the pressure is on, even though when you're young, it's not always easy to see it. So I think he's in good hands, and he's got good hands himself.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, Romain, what do you think the result of this afternoon's game is going to be? If I dare make you guess.
I would take a 1-0 win in the 92nd minute.
Yeah.
Because that's all you need at this point.
I like how precise you've been down to the minute as well. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to Romain Larrieu. You are watching Argyle TV, of course, and we hope that you enjoy the game. Now, as I mentioned before, we have got a little video of Dan Scarr, so let's take a look at that now. Okay, let's forget Dan Scarr. The clip is elsewhere. Instead, we'll go with what we touched on before when we were talking to Ian. The Doncaster team are out on the pitch behind us, so let's see how they got on in their previous game. Some highlights from Doncaster's last game there, and they now sit bottom of the table. Let's have a look at some of the other fixtures that are happening today around Sky Bet League One. I'll read them out for you, and they are as follows. So we have got Burton versus Lincoln, Cambridge versus Fleetwood, Charlton versus Portsmouth, Ipswich versus Sheffield Wednesday. Our last nemesis is at home. MK Dons versus Wickham, Morecambe versus Accrington, Oxford versus Gillingham, Rotherham versus Crewe, Shrewsbury versus AFC Wimbledon, Sunderland versus Bolton, and Wigan versus Cheltenham. Now we are almost 15 minutes away from kick-off here at Home Park. The crowds are starting to fill up the stadium here, and don't forget, if you want to get in touch with us, please do on social media at @onlyoneargyle on Twitter. We would love to hear from you. I'll be up in the gantry at half-time having a little look through your tweets, and hopefully we can read some of them out and give you a shout out. Seeing as we're almost ready to go, it's about time for me to wrap up. I will be handing over to the lovely Rob McNichol, who is going to be joined in the commentary box today by Ian Stonebridge, who we had as a guest here on Argyle TV. So stay tuned to listen to them commentate the match. A reminder, if you are watching on our YouTube account or you're watching abroad, make sure you head over to Argyle TV, which is on pafc.co.uk, and you can watch the entire game there. If you are a UK viewer, the commentary of the game will be available on Argyle TV for you as well. So that's it from me. All that's left to say is that it is Argyle against Doncaster Rovers, and that is coming up next.